York. It's amazing. It's one of the most independent news organizations out there. It covers, the whole world on an ongoing basis. It's really amazing. It talks about politics and markets and policy and finance and everything that you can imagine. So I want you to kind of hear. This is just on the Brexit, because Boris Johnson lost the majority in his cabinet, which means that they actually have to call the general election and dissolve the government and give it another shot. So it'll be interesting. When you have political instability in countries, the people start to sell those domestic currencies and move into foreign currencies like the dollar. It causes the pound to depreciate and devalue, and the dollar to appreciate or reappreciate. Okay? Understand? So what you're going to need to do when you come into class, I want you to get onto your computers, and I want you to start looking up the markets, okay? And pretend like we are a trading room in San Francisco at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you're the managing directors, and the market's going to open at 6. And we're having a managing director meeting, a debriefing. And you're basically going to give us an update on the markets. You're going to track the stock market. You could use the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which are 30 stocks. It's been around like 160-something years. It's the #1 indicator for the stock market. You could use the Standard & Poor's 500 index. You could use the NASDAQ index, which is made up mainly of high-tech companies, which is more volatile. But I like the Dow Jones. So I don't know, can you find me the Dow Jones? You can go up to Yahoo and go up to Yahoo Finance, and it'll give you the Dow Jones. Oil prices per barrel, it'll give you, what year is this? 2019, you have a computer in front of you. Perfect, awesome. So you have handhelds, you have tablets, you have laptops, you have computers. You guys have access instantly to information. Okay, so you're going to need to, right when you come in, you should turn your computers on and start telling me where the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at. Okay, because it closes at 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock our time because of the time difference. The idea is to tell me where the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at. Is it up or down in percentage and by points? And tell me, give me 2 reasons why the stock market went up or down. Do you care if the stock market went up or down? Yeah, because your grandparents, your parents, and you will probably be heavily invested in the stock market as one of the main accumulators of wealth for yourself and your family and your grandparents. So you're exposed to the stock market, so you might as well care where it is. And you'll be invested a lot of your money in the stock market. You also need to know where the barrel of oil is trading. Barrel of oil is trading how much? How much does it cost for a barrel of oil? Is it up or down? How much? And give me the reasons why. I have a training around that too. But you should start reading these articles and figuring out what's going on in these markets. Do we care if oil prices go up or down? Do we care? Yeah. Because if oil prices go down, then your gasoline's cheaper, and basically you have more money to spend on beer. Okay. So that's one. The price of gold. Where is the price of gold trading right now per ounce? Do we care? What is it?
Like 16 is pretty high.
I don't think it's reached 16 yet, but they're forecasting that it's going to go to 16, just because of all the geopolitical risk, and I don't think it's inflation driven. And then when people get scared, they sell off their stocks and they go into gold and bonds. So that's probably some analysts are saying $2,000 an ounce, which you haven't seen since the financial crisis. Where is the Dow? Did you find it?
Yeah, it's up 237.5.
Up 237 points?
Yeah, oh, wait, nope, sorry. Up 237
points.
4 5 points.
To what? What level?
Oh,
it's up over 200.
26,355.47.
So when you hear that the stock market's gone up or down by 200 points, 250 points, there's some news out there.
Yeah, with Beijing, Hong Kong, Beijing thing.
With the piece, the resolution of the.
Yep, it raised it.
They basically said that they're not gonna export people from Hong Kong back to China.
Yeah.
Now the resistance wants, what they want is human suffrage. They want democratic elections. So that had a major impact on the markets.
All of them went up.
So either it's gonna be geopolitical risk, it's gonna drive stock prices, it's gonna be interest rates. Interest rates go up, usually stock prices go down. If they go down, stock prices go up. Or it's gonna be earnings. If Apple, comes out and they beat, their earnings estimates, killed it. Since Apple is the largest stock in the stock indexes, any movement in Apple's stock price is gonna move the indexes. So earnings will also move it. And then oil. The price of oil is what? What's it trading at? Per barrel.
56.04.
Is it up or down?
Down by negative 0.22.
Perfect. You sound like a trader. What would cause stock prices to go down? More or less supply? More or less supply?
More.
More supply. What would cause oil prices to go down? More or less demand?
To go down?
Yep.
Less than
Less demand. Okay, so it's a test on your microeconomics, and I'll walk you through the microeconomic supply-demand analysis around these major asset classes, give you some fundamentals around how to forecast these prices. Because if you can forecast the prices of these major asset classes, can you profit from that?
Of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or if I'm like an oil company and I'm forecasting oil prices to go up, that's just more revenue earnings, my stock price is going to go up. But if I'm forecasting oil prices to go down, my revenues are going to go down, my earnings are going to go down, and my stock price is going to go down. So I probably want to apply some hedges using derivative contracts to hedge off the downside risk to our revenues and our earnings. What about gold? Is it up or down? What did you say? It's up by how much? To what? Okay, what's oil at? Oh, sorry, gold. Sorry, gold.
Negative.
What is it?
Negative.
Gold's down?
Yes.
Okay.
1557.40, which minus 0.19%.
Okay, excellent. There's two main factors that will drive gold prices up or down. One is geopolitical risk and inflation expectations. Okay. If there's less geopolitical risk, people sell off the gold, they go into stocks. If there's more geopolitical risk, people start freaking out, and they go into safe havens like gold. Okay. Gold's also a commodity, so it tracks the inflation rate. So if I think that inflation is going to increase significantly in the United States, and if it happens, if inflation goes up, the currency is going to devalue. So I can buy gold, so that gold prices go up when the inflation goes up, so it hedges off the depreciation due to inflation in my currency. Okay, so gold is an important asset class too. Where's the 10-year Treasury yielding? The Treasury of the United States issues bonds at different maturities, 3 month, 6 month, 9 month, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 7 year, 10 year, 20 year, 30 year bonds, okay, to basically finance the budget deficits, okay, because if you don't have enough tax revenues for your budgets, then you're gonna need to raise money in the bond market to fill the gap, okay, and these bonds trade in the markets every single day, and the 10-year Treasury is the benchmark interest rate that all loans are priced off of. So the 10-year Treasury yields something, and then they start tacking on additional yield on top of it to basically compensate for additional risk. And the 10-year Treasury is the most important interest rate, because your student loans are priced off of it, your car loans, personal loans, and mortgages. So everybody watches the 10-year Treasury yield. So where's the 10-year Treasury yielding today?
Positive.
What?
It's positive.
You want me, no, what's it yielding? What's the yield to maturity, or the yield on the 10-year Treasury? What's the interest rate?
Looking at the interest rates in general.
1.45%.
What is it?
1.45%.
Yeah, 1.45%. Okay, is that what everybody's getting? Is that high? Or is that low?
Low.
It's extremely low, okay? That's so low, it's actually at historical lows. So for some reason, the 10-year treasury yielding has bottomed out to its historic low. Are we in a recession?
Going to.
Could, yeah, potentially the manufacturing index came out, and now it's below 50, which means the manufacturing sector is contracting. Cisco just laid off like 600 people. And Germany has had 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, so it's in a recession. Argentina's in basically stagflation, which is awful. Brazil's is in probably a recession. Japan's probably in a recession. Italy and Spain are probably in a recession. So how long is it going to take for us to go into a recession? Okay, the market's saying by August of 2021. And I'll go through all of the indicators and how the markets basically are forecast recessions, recoveries, and those things. So the 10-year treasury yield is extremely important. What about the dollar to the pound, dollar to the euro?
So the recession, does that mean the housing prices are gonna drop as well?
Depends
Is it
exactly
through the
on where
roof?
you are, but in the last recession in 2008 and 9, if you were living in Fresno, California, you saw your house basically drop almost 60%.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Atherton and, Belmont or Lafayette or Orinda or Gucci, suburban market, sub-markets. I don't think the houses will fall as far or as fast as some of the commodity markets further out in the valley. But normally when you go into a recession, home prices go down.
Yeah, 'cause prices are through the roof right now with those low
That's
interest
correct.
rates.
Yeah, because interest rates are extremely low. I
Trying to
locked
buy
in
left and right.
my mortgage at 3.88, which was a great deal. If interest rates go to 1% on the 10-year and I can get a 2%, mortgage refi, I'm gonna refinance my home and cram down my mortgage payment. Okay. But I better have a job to pay the mortgage payment, so it's a 2-edged sword. What about like the dollar to the pound, dollar to the euro? Can you find that?
1.2.
It's 1.2, so it's gonna cost me $1.20 to buy a pound. Okay. Do you know where it was, like last week or the week before?
Yeah.
Do you have a trend?
Yeah. 1 week ago, it was about 1.29.
1.29, so it cost me $1.29 to buy a pound, now it costs me $1.20. So did the dollar appreciate or depreciate against the pound? Appreciate or depreciate? Appreciate, got it. And then what did the pound do? Did it appreciate or depreciate against the dollar? It depreciated, okay. And I'll go through what the factors are that drive currencies up and down in value.
Well, wouldn't that one be because the Brexit issues that they're dealing with right
Exactly,
now?
totally.
But, so would that be less upon the fact that they're just depreciating more than we're actually appreciating?
It's due to Brexit.
I was gonna say, so it's mainly just depreciation then, right?
It's depreciation due to political instability and self-inflicted. And actually, the currency traders are forecasting a dollar parity, dollar to pound, 1-to-1, which has never been done before, which would create inflation, major inflation.
But we
For the-
create over there, right?
For them,
Yeah.
create major inflation and lower their savings spending, because they import more than they export.
So isn't that technically when you should buy pounds, when it gets that low and then wait a couple years?
Based on fundamental analysis or technical analysis, it depends on what kind of trader you are. You'll be learning fundamental and technical analysis in this class too. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, that was just kind of a crash course. What I would do is come in, when you get here, boot up your computer and start researching, the market. Okay. We're going to pretend like we're a trading room at Goldman Sachs, where this is a managing director meeting at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're basically debriefing what the major markets are doing and why they've gone up and down, where you think they're going to go, and what type of trades you're going to place at some point. Does it sound cool? All right. So I'm giving you the syllabus. The syllabus basically lays out everything that you're going to need to do for the rest of the semester. I'm going to hand out a lot of stuff to you today because I like to front load the class at least for about a month, okay? So I basically give you everything you need to exist for a month, and then I give you some more stuff, and then we go another month, and then I give you some more stuff, and then we're done with the semester, okay? The way that I teach this class is based on deliverables, not test assessments. Okay? When you go work for Tesla, or Google, or Salesforce, they're not going to give you a multiple choice exam, okay, that you're going to study for, right? They're going to say, hey, write these memos or write this report or do this analysis. Give us the PowerPoint presentation, the deck, the memo, the report. Let me take a look at it. I'll give you some suggestions for some corrections to improve it. And then basically do the presentation in front of the client, the senior level executives, the investment committee, the board of directors, stuff like that. Once you've done one of those, they're going to tell you to do it again. If you do a good job doing it, then you'll move up. You'll start coaching other people. People will start working for you. You'll become a managing director. People underneath you. You'll get more money, more power, more prestige, and then you'll be able to buy that house in Lafayette that you've always wanted, along with the house in Monterey. And that's kind of the goal, right?
That's right.
With this whole exercise of going to school,
Yes.
is to accumulate human capital, to be able to then leverage,
Yep.
so that you can make a living, not only take care of yourself, but take care of your family in the process. That's my goal. Because I care about my family. Don't worry about it. Especially my brother. Yeah, he's a piece of okay. So I'll go through a little bit of the syllabus in a second. Okay. And I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, so don't worry too much. Here's the book. My recommendation is you can buy the book hard copy, you can do soft copy with the holes in it, you can do probably a downloaded version, you can do Wiley Plus if you get stuck and mathematics isn't your, or economics isn't your forte, and you need more tutoring. The Wiley Plus is great, it's got a website, it's got narrated slides, and it'll walk you through the homework problems and stuff like that if you need to do that. But we'll be doing most of the heavy lifting here in class. And I recommend if you got a budget constraint, you just basically buy a book, rip it up, take pictures of it, share the costs. So you know it's going to be a lot of fun. Or use a used version and rent it for $20 or whatever it is. What else? I'll go through the syllabus in a second. If you can fill this out and give this back to me, this is basically an intake form, not about your mental preparation for the class, but it's basically for to get you to start thinking about leadership positions. If you want to go on to a master's degree, which I recommend. It's even better if you can get your firm to pay for your master's degree or multiple master's degrees. My firms were more than happy to pay for 4 master's degree and a doctorate degree for me, which I'm extremely grateful that they did that, which was amazing. And it was just negotiation up front. You want to hire me? Do you have any educational reimbursement programs? And if I stay with the firm for 5 to 7 years, maybe 7 to Wharton in San Francisco for my MBA, or pay for my executive MBA at Cal at Haas for the concentration in finance or real estate or whatever it is you want to study. This is for the finance club. Everybody should join the finance club because that's all we care about is getting people internships and jobs. Okay. The reason why we focus on internships and jobs is, well, I don't know. I mean, if you were born rich, right, and your parents were like super rich, then you're here on vacation, right? Because you're not going to have to worry about anything. And then when you graduate, you go right to retirement. But most of the people that I work with and most of my students aren't from super wealthy families, so they got to work for the rest of their life, like I do. So you have to work with us. Articulate what your goals and objectives are and what you want, which we're going to do in a second. You join clubs like the Finance Club that are focused on placement, internships and jobs. You work with Mary Beth Stacked up on the 3rd floor in Galileo to get your resume in place. Once you get the resume in place, you go handshake I refer you to some of my networks for internships and jobs. And then we coach you through the interview process before you go in for the interview for the internship and job. If you didn't do an internship this summer and you're a senior, we got to get you some kind of experience so that you can get a job like tomorrow. Seniors got to be getting the jobs today for graduation, right? Juniors need to be getting their internships now for next summer, okay? And if you can do internships during the semester, that's pretty cool too if you're examining it, okay? The more internships and more experience you have, the better off you're going to be and the easier you're going to make that transition from the academy into the real world, okay? And my class is really geared towards the real world. It's almost purely application. Okay? We take a lot of the theories that we learn and we build stuff. Okay? We produce stuff, just like you would do in a regular company. Okay? I don't give multiple choice exams and stuff like that. We do production. Okay? So if you could fill those up, that's great. Here's going to be, and I'm going to talk really fast. I'm going to go through a lot of stuff. And if we do it right, we're out of here like 20 minutes early.
Excellent.
Is that cool? So here's my philosophy on stuff, and I learned this over the years. All right, so here at these schools, some of these schools, they basically grade you based on a normal distribution. You're not normal, you're exceptional. You're amazing individuals. So to be able to use a bell curve distribution to basically assess and grade students is completely ridiculous. Okay? And they usually will, set up a mean and they may do some curves or stuff like that, which is completely crazy. And then what they'll do is they'll hack it up, and then you got your F's and your D's and your C's, your B's and your A's, and few people get A's and more people get B's and C's, and then a few people get F's and D's. This is like completely stupid and crazy, in my view. As a methodology, we don't do this in the real world. They do it in academia for some reason, which is crazy, but in the real world, we would never do anything like this. Because that's all we care about is training and developing our talent to all be A students. That's all we care about. Everybody. Everybody comes along with us. So if you're one of these people down in here, and I've had some students come to me, and say, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, what do you want? What grade do you want in this class? Can you give me a C? It's like, are you insane? It's like, I'm not giving you a C. It's like, you're doing the work and I'm going to give you an A. So you're going to do the work. I'm going to make you do it. These people here, they probably have maybe psychological issues or learning disabilities or something like that. We can work with you, okay? We can get you some resources. We will help you to get over here, okay? So these people are taken care of, okay? We'll take care of that. The C students are really A students, okay? They just overbook themselves, or they believe that, getting grades is not important, or their social or, other extracurricular activity are basically distracting them from focusing, on their grades. So if I can basically wrap these people and push them over, I can actually get them into the A category also. So I'm not really worried about them either. And B students are actually A students, but they probably did something, okay? And a lot of my A students that end up getting B's in my class will not do the memos that I asked them to do. They will not work with me on them, they will not talk to me about them, and in a lot of cases they will show up in my office running, panicking into my office the last week of school saying, Professor Susie, you gotta read my memos. And I'm like going, are you insane? I'm not gonna spend 3 hours, my time going over your memos when you have a whole semester to build a relationship with me and talk to me where I could show you how to write awesome memos using business language and business communication standards. That's when those people, and I'm in tears giving these people B pluses. And they're telling me, Professor Susan, I worked my butt off in your class and you gave me a B plus. It's because your memos sucked. You took them for granted. You didn't think that they were important. Okay. So the B students are really A students too. Okay. And actually the curve doesn't even look like that. The curve looks like that. So it's maybe a few B's, if any, and the majority are A's. So if you work with me in my program and you don't just submit your work and walk away and say, I'm done, what's going to happen is I'm going to grab your work and I'm going to give you comments and I'm going to hand it back to you and I'm going to say, go correct it and go do it again. and then give it back to me so I can look at it again. And we may go back and forth a few times, but then the quality level's gonna go up, and I'm gonna, oh my God, your medals are beautiful, your report is perfect, I'm gonna give you the A. That's how we do it in the real world. Okay. So to basically do this bell curve stuff and do random assessments of exams using multiple choice is not the real world and doesn't prepare you for the real world. Okay? It actually does the opposite, in my view. So I teach a very different way, because I came from the business world. Okay? And I did both, business first and then academia. I didn't go academia and stay in academia. I didn't go academia and go into the business world. I was trained in the business world, where I still am housed. Okay. All right, so that gives you kind of an idea of the philosophy. Let's get down to you, because you're what's important. So what I'd like to do is to go around. This is your elevator pitch. You need to have an elevator pitch. Does everybody have an elevator pitch? No, you need an elevator pitch, okay? Because you may be sitting in an elevator, crawling on, getting on the elevator downtown, you know, at 555 California in the big building, or 101 Cal, and this little guy steps in this funky suit with a big old fat wallet, and his name's Charles Schwab, okay? And Chuck Schwab's gonna say, hey, how you doing today? You know, are you going for an interview? What do you do? And if you don't know if you can't do an elevator pitch with Chuck Schwab, how are you gonna get a job at Schwab? Do you want a job at Schwab? In the marketing department? In the portfolio management department, in corporate communications department? You know, making maybe $60,000 to $80,000 a year right out of college, would you take that job? Yeah, so you need an elevator pitch. Because if you can deliver the elevator pitch in like a few seconds, they know exactly where you came from, what you did, and what you want. And that's all that matters, because people will give you what you want. So what I'm gonna need from each of you, and we're gonna go around really quick, because it shouldn't take that long. You give me your name, college, major, concentration. If you don't have a concentration, make one up, plug it in there. Your graduation date, when you will graduate. Now, I'm likely to graduate, or I think, or maybe, or you know, I might, or I could. None of that stuff. I will graduate, and then the company and the position I want. I want to work for BlackRock as a portfolio manager. I want to work for Google as a marketing manager. I want to work for Tesla as an operations research analyst. Because a lot of this stuff is not going to change, but depending on who you talk to, you can flip this out. So if I'm talking to somebody at B of A in the risk management department, I want to work for B of A as a risk analyst or a risk manager. So you customize your pitch to the person that you're talking to, trying to get an internship or a job. Unless you're super wealthy and you're here on vacation and you're going to go straight to retirement. So let's do it. I'll do it first, and then you can see how it's done. Hi, my name is Larry Souza. I go to St. Mary's College. My major is business administration with a concentration in finance. My graduation date is spring 2021. I want to work for BlackRock as a portfolio manager. How long did that take?
12 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead. So then what you want to do is you want to turn around and you want to tell everybody here so that they can listen to you and get to know you, because your network is your net worth, okay? You're worth nothing without a network, because when you get laid off, you call your friends, okay, and they get you another job, okay? Or they call you and say, we need somebody like you, like they just did the other day for me, and said, we need you to come on as the Vice President of Research and Analytics for our energy company. Okay? So it's really important that everybody understands what everybody is doing, so then you can refer each other business.
Hi, my name is Serena. I go to St. Mary's College of California. My major is in business administration with a concentration in marketing and digital media. My graduation date is in spring 2021, and I aspire to work for, I want to work for Patagonia in the Department of Marketing.
As a marketing manager.
Marketing manager.
Correct.
Hello, my name is Ruben. I go to St.
Do you
Mary's
have a last
College.
name?
Rangel.
Yeah, because the last names are really important too, because, you know, Larry's Larry, but Susan's Portuguese. So there's a lot of Portuguese people in the Bay Area, and you might be talking to a Portuguese descendant, and their grandparents came from the Azores. So you got connected.
Alright, hello, my name is Ruben Rangel. I go to St. Mary's College of California, majoring in business administration with a concentration in finance. My graduation date is spring 2021. I will work at CBRE in client management.
Okay, excellent. Do you know the research manager from CBRE is coming to speak on October 9th?
Okay. And,
Would you want to meet her?
Yep.
Or him, actually?
Yep.
Yeah, I can introduce you.
Alright, cool.
My name is Aaron Voss. I attend St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in finance, and I will graduate in May 2021. I want to work for Salesforce doing wealth management.
Oh, excellent. Financial planning and analysis, FP&A. Okay, we'll write that down because that's the acronym, FP&A.
Okay. Hi, my name is Courtland Matsuo. I attend St. Mary's College of California. I am a double major in accounting and business administration with a concentration in finance. I will graduate in May of 2021, and upon graduation from law school, I want to be a tax and securities attorney at Carlson Hall.
Oh, awesome. You learn a lot. That's fantastic.
My name is Rand Candy. I attend St. Mary's College. My graduation date is spring 2021 or spring 2021. After I finish medical school, I plan to be a doctor for Kaiser.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Jake Exner. I go to St. Mary's College. I am a business administration major with a concentration in marketing. I will be graduating in the spring of 2021, and I want to work as a sales manager for MCOR Mesa Energy Systems.
Nice job.
Hi, my name is Gustavo Paredes Mejia. I attend St. Mary's College. My major is business with a concentration in analytical side of the
Data analytics.
data analytics. I'm currently a junior here and hopefully graduated.
No hope. And I will graduate.
I will graduate by
Spring
spring
2021.
2021. And my dream and I want to work for either Chase, Salesforce, or perhaps even open my own business.
As a data analytics
As a
manager,
data analytics major.
Vice President of Research and Analytics.
Yes.
My name is Jake Benito. I currently go to St. Mary's College of California. I'm an accounting major with a concentration in tax. I graduate in May of 2020, and I want to work for Deloitte & Touche as a tax lawyer.
Perfect.
My name is Dante Calcano. I go to St. Mary's College of California. My major is business with a concentration in digital media and marketing. I will graduate in May of 2020. I want to work for a Life Aid beverage company as a marketing manager.
That's fantastic. Nice job.
My name is Willie Veronker. I attend St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in finance. I plan to graduate in
No, you will.
yeah,
I will graduate.
the year of 2021, I think. I don't know.
No.
Well,
You gotta know
I'm
when you-
honestly not sure.
Just say spring of 2021. When you say I think, and it's like, so you gotta convey confidence.
Okay. I will be graduating in spring of 2021. I want to be
I want to work for Bank of America
I want to work for Bank of America
as a portfolio associate.
as a portfolio associate.
Perfect.
My name is Cindy Maskey. I attend St. Mary's College of California. I'm a business major with a global concentration and a Spanish minor. I will graduate in spring of 2021, and I want to work for a winery as a
I like that.
How about Trefethen as a warehouse supervisor or a regional sales manager? Yeah. Corbell, Sterling,
Silver.
Gloria Ferrer,
Yes.
yes. Ira Iron Horse? I mean, there's like 1,000 of them.
My name is Zach McLean. I go to St. Mary's College. My major is business with a concentration in accounting. I'm going to graduate in May 2020. And I want to work for Chevron in their risk management department.
Excellent. And see, business administration, it sounds a little bit more powerful than just business.
Hi, I'm Tom Moes. I go to St. Mary's. My major is business administration with a focus in finance. My graduation date is May 2020, and I want to be a partner at Morrison Forster.
Awesome.
Hello, my name is William Cooper. I currently attend St. Mary's College of California with a graduation date of May 2020. I want to
What was
work.
the major?
Sorry. My major is business, digital media, and marketing, and I want to work at Snapchat, filling the position of brand sales and advertising.
Nice.
My name is John Ambrosio. I'm currently attending college at St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in small business management. My graduation date will be spring of 2021, and I will be working for Mars Engineering and becoming president.
Oh, that's fantastic.
My name is Janae Fairbrook. I am currently attending St. Mary's College of California with a major in accounting and a concentration in auditing. I will graduate in the spring of 2021, and I aspire to become a certified public accountant.
I want to work for KPMG as an audit manager.
Yeah.
How's that? Yes. Partner.
Hi, I'm Jordan Bolzo. I attend at St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in marketing. I will graduate in the spring of 2021, and I want to work for Under Armour as a marketing manager.
Awesome.
My name is Nathan Schneider, and I go to St. Mary's College. I'm an accounting major. I don't have a concentration.
Tax,
Tax,
trust,
with the
real estate.
concentration of tax. I will graduate in the spring of 2021, and I want to work as an accountant at Google.
Oh, excellent. So county manager at Google. Nice.
Hi, my name is Mark Goulart. I attend St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in marketing, and I will be graduating the spring of 2021, and I will be working at Charles Schwab as a database marketing analyst.
Oh, that's awesome. I used to work for Schwab.
My name
Love
is
that.
Dahlia Shafi. I go to St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship. I'm graduating January 2021, and I would like to work at Warner Brothers as a digital marketing manager.
I want.
I applied for that.
I will.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Hi, my name is Trevor Din. I'm currently attending St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with a concentration in finance and global business. I will be graduating in the spring of 2021. I want to be a part of the finance department at Camcom Incorporated.
Excellent.
Hello, my name is Tyler Ward, and I attend St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with concentration in entrepreneurship. My graduation date is May of 2020, and the company that I want to work for is Kaiser as a business analyst.
Oh, nice job.
My name is Eric Carranza, and I attend St. Mary's College. My major is business administration with a concentration in global business. My graduation date is spring of 2020. Will work for IBM, and my position will be global corporate manager.
Excellent. Nice job.
Hi, my name is Abdullah Al-Dawi. I attend St. Mary's College of California. My major is business administration with concentration in finance and business analytics. My graduation date is spring of 2020, and I want to be a partner at Bain.
Bain? Nice.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Ramirez. I go to St. Mary's College of California. My major is accounting with a concentration in auditing. My graduation date will be spring 2020, and I want to be an audit and assurance manager for Deloitte.
Oh, that's awesome. This is a really important exercise because it basically will break your attachment to your adolescence. Instead, have you start focusing on your adulthood and your career. Then you have to start thinking, out into the future. time goes by really quickly. So if you plan out effectively what your career path is going to be, you'll be able to move from the academy into your career with more momentum and a stronger trajectory is really what you want to do. Okay? So it's really super, super important. What I also have here are the statistical pre-tests. Okay? Actually, Cortland's an expert at the statistical pre-tests as you take my class last semester. And basically, why would I give you a statistical pre-test? Why would I give you a pre-test?
See how far behind you are.
No, to actually see how far ahead of you are, and then to remediate any of the, the weaknesses. You can't remember everything. So when you get into your careers, okay, and you graduate, you're going to be hopefully thinking about everything that you learned in your business degree. And you're going to go over the theories, and you're going to go over your experiences over and over again in your head until it becomes natural and innate. And statistics is basically the language of business because we're collecting massive amounts of data now in cloud environments, and being able to compute, and just pass it around, being able to compute that data, crunch that data, filter that data, to basically then use statistics for information, and then look at the applications of the statistics to get the information to be able to make decisive decisions based on scientific research. Okay? Maybe some politicians don't believe in scientific research based on evidence and data, but people in business do. And most of the top people in business are data junkies. They love data. The more data, the better. They use the data.
We need an extra one.
They're still going around. And we need to have basically a statistical pretest for you to basically go and gather this information so that you can use this as a study guide. But I need to give it to you up front in the class, because if I'm teaching you, telling you, talking about variance and standard deviations and covariance and correlation later in the class for the first time, you're not going to remember it. That if you did the pre-test up front and we're talking about standard deviation, variance, correlations, covariances. And when I mention that later on in the class, you will already know it and not be hearing it for the first time. Okay? So that's one of the reasons why we do this. Okay? We talk about law of large numbers. Because the more data you have, the better off you'll be, particularly if the data is standardized. Because the more data you accumulate that's normally distributed, you can apply mean variance analysis, which is the basis of finance, accounting, and business statistics. Okay? Arithmetic means and geometric means. What's the problem with arithmetic means? What's the problem with arithmetic means? Yeah, you got outliers, of course. So geometric means tries to control for some of those outliers. And then usually what you'll do is you'll standardize the data using maybe a log, and you'll filter out the two standard deviations, which is where the errors are, convert them back, and then calculate the mean and the standard deviations. So understanding the problems with some of this stuff. On page 3, you have distribution types. If any of you decide on going on to do master's degrees in business or finance or analytics or anything like that, you probably learn simulation techniques, such as Monte Carlo simulation techniques. And the first thing that you have to basically set in the Monte Carlo simulation is what type of distribution that you're analyzing. So it's important to know data visualization and what kind of distribution you're looking at. Then on page 4, we have measures of central tendency, mean, medians, and modes. If they're clustered together, then you have a very nice tight distribution, which makes it easy to be able to forecast the mean, okay, when you have nice data sets. The mean is just the average, the median, you rank from high to low, pick the midpoint, and the mode is the most occurrent. So you want to show me some examples and show me the equations on that. And then the distributions could be skewed to the right, to the left, positive or negative. Kurtosis is the peakiness in the distributions, and elliptokurtic is basically fat tails and other kinds of anomalies of the distributions. If you know what the data looks like, then you can apply the adjustments to the data to then normalize it, to then be able to apply the statistics to get the information that you need to make decisive decisions.
Okay, so I'm like super confused, but in my business stats class, we learned all this based upon Excel formulas.
Huh?
We learned this all using Excel.
Okay, well,
formulas.
you're just gonna learn the real formula.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
the
then
only
on
difference.
the-
I don't remember the formulas, I just
That's
remember the
okay,
finance.
well, you're
so-
gonna write it down, and you're gonna memorize the
Okay.
formulas too. Because on the website, I have a bunch of resources, you know, that I've already done the research, I pulled together a bunch of resources, you can go through the resources and fill it out, or you can go online to Google or wherever you want, but I want you to memorize the equations, because you don't remember the Excel equations. You have to memorize the mathematics in your brain, okay? Because that's the operating system. Mathematics is the operating system. It's the in which the data comes in, processed through, you know, the mathematics, and the information comes out, and then you look at it and you make the decisions. Okay. Histograms, stem leaf, and box plots show me the diagrams. Again, those are measurements of data visualization that you would look at before you start applying the regression techniques or whatever techniques you use. You want to usually do some data visualization. And then variance, standard deviation, confidence intervals. When I say variance in standard deviation, what's the first thing that should pop into your brain? Flash in front of your eyes. What's the variance in the standard deviation? What does it measure? Dispersion in the distribution. Which is more risky? Tight distributions or wide distributions? Which one's more risky? Tight distributions, where the data is very tight around the mean, or a distribution that's wider, thick tails, and spread out more across the distribution. That's more risky, correct? So the higher the variance and the higher the standard deviation, the more risk. The lower the standard deviation, the lower the variance, the lower the risk. So these are measures of risk, okay? And then confidence intervals basically give you an idea of the ranges around the T statistics or the means based on confidence levels, okay? Then confidence levels, 99, 95, 90. In the environment of large data sets now, we are probably could use 99% confidence levels to test the statistical significance of the independent variable's ability to predict the dependent variable. But usually in social sciences, there's a lot of error, and we don't have very large data sets. So we lower the confidence levels to 95 or 90 to allow more error and to juice the T statistics and the F tests and P values to build the models and to test to see the statistical significance of the independent variable's ability to predict the dependent variable. The Z-scores are student disease, which you use for very small sample sizes, which we normally don't use because we usually have large data sets. The T statistic is what you use to test the statistical significance of the independent variables. Ability to predict the dependent variable, okay, using regression. And then the F statistic is the model's capability of predicting the dependent variable. This should all be relatively some review for you, even though statistics was listed as a prerequisite for the class, but I don't know about you, but I forget about all of my prerequisites, so I gotta learn this stuff all over again every semester. The coefficient of variation is the standard deviation divided by the expected return. The risk-adjusted rate of return is the expected return divided by the standard deviation. So in finance, when you're doing portfolio theory, it's either the unit of risk per unit of return, or it's the unit of return per unit of risk. Okay. So for example, I got 3 portfolios. They're each yielding the expected return on the 3 portfolios, A, B, and C, is 10%. The first portfolio, 10%, and I got a standard deviation of 20%. What's my return to risk ratio? 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. Got it. So I'm getting a 0.5 unit of return per unit of risk. Portfolio B, I got 10% return with a 10% standard deviation. Therefore, my unit of return per unit of risk is 10% divided by 10% is 1. Got it. Okay, excellent. So we got through basic math. And then for portfolio B, C, it's a 10% return with a 5% standard deviation. Therefore, the return to risk ratio is 2. Got it. So what portfolio am I going to pick? A, B, or C? The one that gives me 0.5, 1, or 2 units of return per unit of risk. C, got it, okay. Covariance is basically the average range or variance between the two variables. Do they covary together? Okay, we care about that when we're building portfolios. Is there correlation between the stock returns that I'm building in the portfolio? Are they all correlated together? Or do the stocks that I'm pulling in the portfolio have low, no, or negative correlation with the returns within the portfolio? Well, if I'm looking for diversification, I don't want high correlation. I want low correlation, or no correlation, or negative correlation. Okay, so you got to show me the correlation equations. Portfolio standard deviation. There's basically the portfolio standard deviation equation, not the standard deviation equation. The portfolio standard deviation equation can have either the covariance or the correlation coefficient on the end. What you need to know and memorize in your brain or tattoo on your ankle is that if the covariance of the correlation goes up, the portfolio standard deviation goes up. When the correlation of the covariance goes down, the portfolio standard deviation goes down. What I would be doing is writing the notes on this thing because I'm basically giving you the answers. And then the regression equation, I'll give you, write that up on the board. How many variables if I'm building a model, what's the optimal number, or the maximum number of variables you want to have in your regression equation? The max. Do you want 100? I want to build a regression equation. Bring them on. I'll take 100 variables. Throw them in there. No, that's not how you do it. Okay. So what's the maximum number? If you read this thing, it tells you 5. Okay. But even if you have 5 variables in the model, there could be variables in the model that are highly correlated to each other and also correlated to the dependent variable. So you got to figure out which one you're going to throw out, which one you're going to keep. Okay. And which one do you throw out? Which one do you keep? I've got 2 variables that are highly correlated in my regression model to each other and also highly correlated to the dependent variable. I got to pick which one to throw out, which one to keep. Which one do I keep? You could pick the one that's highly correlated and has the highest t statistic, or you pick the one that's been cited the most in the literature based on theory. Okay? That's called external validation, external validity. Okay? And if you do have 2 variables that are in your model that are highly correlated to each other and also highly correlated to the dependent variable, what's that called? Page 9 at the top. Page 9 at the top. What's it called? Multicollinearity. Okay. So you got to be able to you got to figure out which one to keep and which one to throw out. Most students will say, I want the one to keep the one that has the highest correlation and the highest t-value. But the people like me who have been in the industry a long time, what I want to do is go to the library and look at the peer-reviewed journal articles that have been written by the academics and the industry people, and go back in time and see what variable basically was brought up every single time this type of research was done. That one was based on over time, different data samples, but it turned out to be statistically significant or in the model every single time going back in time. Okay, so that's based on theory, based on the literature. You can diversify away unsystematic risk, but you can't diversify away systematic risk, which is market risk, political risk, economic risk, fiscal policy risk, other types of risk. And that graph is in the book. Show me a balance sheet, show me an income statement, show me a cash flow statement, and then these are the key financial ratios that you're going to need to memorize. And you're going to need to memorize, and I say this every semester, and in the middle of the semester and at the end of the semester, I ask my students, what is the weighted average cost of capital? How would you calculate it? And how would you calculate the capital asset pricing model? And they don't know. Okay? So how can you get out of a finance class without knowing 2 of the most important equations from the finance class? Okay? Either you didn't memorize it, remember it, or you didn't tattoo it on your ankle. Okay? Or you should probably tattoo it. Okay? So you never forget. So that's basically the statistical basis. And it tells you what it's doing. And it's pretty straightforward. So you do the best you can. We go over it again later on. I'll walk you through the stuff you get stuck on. Boom, you have it as basically a study guide, and then you hand this in with your first deliverable.
With our what, you said?
In your first deliverable.
Okay.
It's a deliverable package. Okay? So you're gonna have a cover page, you're gonna have memos, you're gonna have the exam, in-class exam, you're gonna have the exam notes, you're gonna have the homework, you're gonna have the extra credit problem set, you're gonna have the pre-test, you're gonna have the movie review worksheet, you're gonna have your resume, and you're gonna have it all clipped together, and you're gonna present it to me like you presented to your boss. Okay? So it's basically one deliverable with multiple instruments in it, basically assessing your comprehension of the content of the class. Okay? Then the exam, okay, the first exam, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out these blue books to you. And the blue books, you're going to write, some people don't like my class, because what they want to do is take one of those classes that's all theory, and they can hang out in the back and look at their Facebook page, and basically take an exam and get a C on everything, and then have the professor feel sorry for you, and have you give you a B for not even performing in the class. That happens all the time. It's not going to happen here. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take these blue books, okay, and on the front page of the blue book, you're going to write quiz notes. Quiz notes. Quiz notes. Okay? And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go over the quiz. Exactly what's going to be on the exam. Okay? No farting around, no gimmicks. Professor Souza, I don't trust you. Is the exam exactly, the exam that you went over, is it exactly the same as the exam that you're giving us in class? Yes, it is. Exactly the same. Okay? Now, why would I do that? Why would I go give you the exam and go over the exam and have you study from the notes and come in and take the exam? Why would I have you do that? Why?
Information is better than
Because I want you to learn the material. Okay? And if you don't do well on the exam, you didn't study. And usually students come to me and say, Professor Souza, I gotta admit, I didn't study. Great. Go study and come back and take the exam. I don't care when you take it. Just go study, go do your job. Don't come in and take the exam and bomb and come into my office and cry because you didn't do well, because you didn't prepare. Okay? If you need more time, I'll give you more time. I don't care. The only thing I care about is you learn the material. Okay? So now you got the blue book with quiz notes on it. Fold this up, put it in the blue book, and when I say, hey, we're going to start going over the quiz material, pull out your blue books and start writing them. And we'll go over. Okay? And if you need more blue books, I'll give you more blue books.
So, is the blue book the quiz one?
That's the quiz notes. You're going to write the quiz notes in the blue book. And then you're going to use the notes to study for the exam. Okay? So I'm forcing you to learn the material. And if you guys want to do the old method, assessments and theory and that stuff, no personal stuff, you can drop the class, take it from somebody else. Okay? I have no problem. You'll work harder in this class and you'll learn a lot more than if you do the other method. So put that in there. So just so you know how the quiz works, you're going to come in, on Monday, the week of the quiz. So Professor Souza, I told you studied, I'm ready, excellent. Okay, put all your stuff on the floor. And then I'm going to give you the exam in a blue book, and I'm going to go, okay, go do it. Let's see what you can do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to give me back the quiz at the end of the class, okay? And then you're going to go, God, Professor Souza, I really needed some extra time to study on it. I really didn't do very well, or I did really well, and I think I can basically finish the exam on Wednesday night. I go, great, take the notes that you did, put in the blue book, and go study from the blue book and come back on Wednesday and finish the exam and hand in your deliverable. Okay? So then you got 48 hours to basically study again, to go back and learn the stuff that you didn't learn or you didn't remember prior, and you come in, boom, you freaking nail it. Okay? And then usually, if you still didn't do well on the exam because of personal issues or something, I go, okay, cool. So what I'll do is you can finish the exam at another time if you want to go study and learn the material and come back. I'll give you some extra time to go do it because I just want you to learn it. Or what you can do is you can go back and watch the video, okay, and go back through the exam and correct the exam and use a red or a blue pen to make the corrections on your exam so you're learning exactly where you made your mistakes and filling in the detail that you left out on the exam. Okay? And if you hand it back in, which you probably do, I'll take another look at it and basically say, okay, there's probably 3 areas in the exam where you were a little weak or you didn't have as much detail. Come into my office, sit down, I'll walk you through it and I'll show you exactly where to put the details so you understand exactly how to do it. Okay? That's how we do it in the real world. Okay? We don't just do an assessment, give you a grade, and walk away and move on. So basically what we're doing is penalizing you or rewarding you for what you do or don't remember, and then moving on so you never learn the material. That's ridiculous. Okay, go ahead.
So that's what I was going to say. So it seems more like the grade, it's not so much a number, right, at all when it comes to these.
No, so I'm going to be looking at
Yeah,
it.
it's
You
more
will get a
just-
grade at, you know, if it reaches a certain level,
Yeah.
then you get the A. If you don't reach a certain level,
That's what, yeah.
you
makes
send
a lot
I
more
send
sense.
you back and you have to review the videos.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
and you go back and learn.
That's what, I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
No, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Because I've worked in this business for 25 years. I've seen demoralized and disaffected and demotivated students, and that's not the way you do it. You should be rewarding them and their perseverance, their persistence, their knowledge, and then you give them chances and you allow them to train and you help them to basically succeed. Okay, that's how we do it. Okay. All right, so pre-test, exam, everybody clear on that stuff? Okay. Also, what I did was I wrote up, what kind of class is this? Finance class. Do you think you'll need a calculator?
Yes.
Got it. So you want to bring a calculator to class. Okay. This is the HP12C. It's totally cool. Dinosaur, 1980. Cost like $125 in 1980. Costs $125 today. Okay. Most of the top investment bankers and mortgage bankers use the 12C. Okay. It's just a, you know, it's just a status symbol. And then your low cost effective option is the Texas Instrument BA2 Plus. Usually every exam, at least a half a dozen students come in. Professor Souza, I forgot my calculator. I don't think so. I think they're cheap. And they didn't want to spend the $40 on the calculator, personally. So this is like the cheap option. So, you know, $40, it's really cheap. Then the other one is the Hewlett-Packard 10B, the 2 Plus. This is the financial calculator. This is a lot harder to learn than the 12C or the Texas Instrument. It depends on which one you want to use. What I did was I went ahead and wrote up some calculator solutions for you. I went through the manuals and pulled out the calculations, procedures for the calculators so that you have them.
Are those, is that like the time value of money calculator type thing?
Present value, net present value, internal rate of return, that stuff. And they also have the steps in the book, and they use the Texas Instrument, okay, as the
Which was that?
as the calculator.
Yeah, that's the 40.
Yeah, and that's the $40. And you might even be able to get it used on Amazon for $10.
So if we have a G184 Bros, would that work?
Well, I don't care, but the only thing I think is kind of weird is I teach at some other schools. And what some of the students do is they have these big old financial calculators that are pre-programmed. So they're just like, bloop, 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 answer. Make it easy on themselves. So they just pre-program the calculations in their calculators, and they come in and they basically just copy the answers. I don't have time to check for cheating in this class. I'm not going to be, raked across the coals, in the administration, turning you in and that stuff. I ain't going to do it. Okay. So that's your problem to deal with. I'm not dealing with it. There's no incentive to cheat in this class. I designed the class so you don't need to, right? Because I'm giving you extra time to go back and redo stuff if you didn't know. So there's no incentive to cheat. And if you're cheating yourself. So do the homework, learn the material. If you need more time, take it. If you need to take the exams over again, take them over again. I don't care, don't cheat, okay? And I always get a cheater. was one cheater in every class. It's unbelievable. I said, what are you doing? I said, why are you doing this? You know? And some professors are hardcore, man. They will freaking turn you in, man. It's like, don't do that to me, okay? Just don't do it.
For the quizzes, would we, depending on whichever calculator we get, are we able to rip off the page of this and bring it in just for these things for the quiz?
You're not going to need it.
We're not going to get. Okay,
Yep.
that's all I know.
Yep. You'll be able to do everything by hand.
Oh, okay.
It'll all be from your brain. And then I'll train you. And we'll do it over and over again until it burns into your brain. You know, Professor Souza, Jesus Christ, you taught this to us 5 times. We know it. Excellent. That's what I know you know. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. You're going to be doing memos in this class. Okay. Why am I training you to do business quality effective trading memos? Why am I making you do this stuff?
Real world stuff.
Exactly. And one of the top people at Townsend, which is a consulting firm, do a lot. I mean, Townsend, Bain, McKinsey, those guys. Townsend is one of the top, consultants to the pension fund advisors and the pension fund, the plan sponsors. And they worked in between the consultants worked in between the plan sponsors and the pension fund advisors. And one of my friends, Michael Yolanis, we had coffee one morning, and we were talking about my teaching and stuff like that, and she said, you know what? She said, I hired these students from Cal and Stanford and all these places. No, this one's not as good. They don't know how to do memos. They can't write memos. They can't write emails. They use slang in the emails. They use emojis in the emails. They do all this stuff in the emails. And that's not going to cut it. I can't send it to a client. Can't send it to an advisor. Can't send it to a plan sponsor. Can't send it to anybody. I got to rewrite their work. Okay? And I hear it all the time now. Is that I can't believe it. It's like these people are sending me these memos and these emails. I got to rewrite them to be able to send them out. And it's like I'm tired of it. It's like I shouldn't have to do your job, basically. So use this time within the program to basically learn how to write at very high levels of business communications. And I will teach you, and I will help you reach that level, okay? But it's absolutely critical that you know how to write a business quality memo. Now this memo is not any kind of memo. This is a trading agreement, okay? That's very, very specific in its language and how it communicates to the client. Okay? It's formatted in a specific way. It's got to be in a specific way. The economic logic has got to be exactly in a specific way. That's okay. They're just examples. And there's a whole plethora of them on the course website that you can use as templates.
There's an extra copy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, you can actually just put them together. So here are some of the memos. They're very specific. I will walk you through the memo methodology. I will walk you through the economic logic. I will train you on the microeconomics, different asset classes. You will go out and get some data and analysis, put them in there as bullets, and you will go out and get some graphs to basically show me the technical analysis and the trends associated with the data. Okay? So these memos are extremely powerful. Okay? It basically shows your ability to forecast, to apply microeconomics, to basically prove and support your forecast using data and analysis and the bullets, the graphs, and then that box right there, those 3 columns right there with those trades in them, basically communicates to your client, the proprietary trading unit, and senior executives in your firm how you are going to make money based off of your forecasts. Okay? Because these derivatives, if you can forecast where stock prices are going to go over the next 3 months, we can apply these trades and take $100 million and leverage it into $1 billion. Okay. Is that done by money center banks, investment banks, trading firms, multinational corporations? Do they use these types of communication devices and derivatives and forecast markets in their direction? Does business do that stuff? Yes, it does. Okay. And you're going to do 5 of these. okay? And you're gonna give them to me. And you can go, Professor Souza, read my memo. Read my memo, read this memo, read these memos again. Professor Souza, keep reading my memos until you tell me that they're perfect, so I can move on. And once I basically say that all of your memos are perfect, in order, I'm gonna say, this is awesome. Now go print it in color, staple it, and stick it in your folder so you can put it in with your final delivery. And you're done.
Oh, I didn't get a copy.
And you're gonna do stocks,
Thank you.
oil, gold, bonds, and foreign currency or the US dollar. Okay? And I'm gonna train you how to do these. All right? So they're very, very specific. Okay? You're also gonna watch 3 movies. Yay! Yay, we're gonna watch movies. Okay? We may watch some in class or you might have to watch some out of class. But you're gonna watch some movies. Okay? And the first movie you're gonna watch is the Inside Job. Okay? Anybody seen the Inside Job? Take 3 of these. Take 3 of these. I'm gonna pass them around. Take 3, because you're gonna do 3 movies. Inside Job, which is a documentary on the origins of the financial crisis. It basically lays out the criminality by politicians and Wall Street bankers. Yay! That's great. I ruined my career. And then you're going to do The Big Short. Great. I mean, who doesn't love Brad Pitt? Cutie Patootie. And then you're going to do The Margin Call with Kevin Spacey and some other people in there. So you get 3 fun movies. They're kind of cool way to learn. And then you fill out these movie review worksheets, and you'll hand them in with your deliverables. Inside Job, deliverable 1, Big Short, deliverable 2, and then Margin Call on the end. And this is what they look like. See what they look like. Oh, I didn't know Demi Moore. I forgot she was in Margin Call.
They still make DVDs.
Kristen Bale is awesome in the Big Short. Just a manic, crazy, brilliant person that figured out how to short the mortgage market. I think he made like $250 million or something. Chunk change, right? And then Inside Job. Why are these movies important? Why is this one important? Why is this important? Because the financial crisis cost trillions of dollars. Okay? We basically doubled our debt in the last 10 years from 10 to 20 trillion dollars. The Federal Reserve printed 5.3 trillion. Other central banks combined 30 to 40 trillion were basically manufactured money from thin air to basically buy sovereign bonds from treasuries across the globe to finance their fiscal expansionary fiscal policies. So basically, that's never been done in history. Where basically the central banks basically print a bunch of money to basically buy treasuries or government bonds to finance basically governments' fiscal spending because they don't have a large enough tax base. So if we're already over leveraged on the Federal Reserve side, monetary policy, and we're already over leveraged on the fiscal side, what are we going to do when we fall into another financial crisis when we don't have enough money for our policy tools to bail us out to the next major significant recession? You guys are financial managers. You guys are you guys are business majors. You have huge responsibility. You are going to be walking into a more precarious situation as managers. You need to understand this stuff because that's what we talk about when I'm sitting around with CEOs, CFOs, and CMOs of companies. We're talking about inverted yield curves and excessive monetary and fiscal policies, and what the impacts are going to be on our markets and our companies, and how are we going to navigate, survive, and thrive in those environments. It's reality. So you can try to avoid reality or you can embrace it and then be innovative in your techniques to be able to solve problems. How are we doing on time? How much time? Perfect. Okay. So here are some examples. Anybody need some examples of some resumes?
Please, I want one.
Okay, so I'll pass them around. These are pretty good. I picked these out. I actually have some resumes on the course website too. Okay. Who's interested in getting the SIE exam? Anybody interested in getting the SIE exam? The SIE is the first half of the Series 7, which is the registered representative license that you need if you're going to work in marketing at any financial institution that sells registered securities. I'll just pass it And then if you want to go into wealth management, investment banking, trading, you got to take the SIE, which you can do right now. Then you get sponsored, you take the Series 7, you take the 66, which is the investment advisory license. And then if you're going to be a wealth manager, you got to pass the insurance, state insurance life license. You got to get long-term care, variable annuities, continuing education. And if you get all of those licenses and certifications, you can put together any strategy to solve the problem for pretty much anybody. If they're an executive, family office, individual, anybody, you can solve their problems. But you got to have the licenses and certifications to do it. Yes.
What's a Series 63?
63, 65, and 66 is your investment advisory license. But if you get the 66, it trumps the 65 and trumps the 63. So a lot of people will get the 63 and go, shit, I really needed the 66. So now I got to go sit for the 66. I'm going, geez, why don't you just sit for the 66? Then you don't have to take the exam twice.
What about the 8? What's that series?
I don't know what it is, but you got to go up to the FINRA website.
Oh.
Okay, and check it out. So here's another example of what we are going to do in this class. What I would do is take pictures of this. This is what we're going to do at the end of the semester, because this is what we do in this class. So I basically take your resources. The class isn't like this. It's like most of the work is in the first third of the class. And then basically it cuts down in the midterm, and then it shrinks to a very low level for the last third of the class. So I basically absorb a lot of your energy and take a lot of the stuff that I otherwise would get in the second and third part of the class. I get the first part of the class, and then I give you time at the end of the class to work on your other classes. Okay? So I use your time up at the first of the class, and then I give it back to you at the end. So you can study for your operations management class or your accounting or whatever it is. Okay, so there's less stress. Okay? And then we don't even have a final exam. The final exam is a take-home with 3 problems. And the 3 problems are on the midterm. They're just changed a little bit. And it's take-home. So it shrinks. And then what we're going to do is you're going to break up into teams right now. And you're going to form teams of 3. And then you're going to work on the teams. In teams, you are going to present the chapter presentations in 12 minutes with some of the homework problems assigned to you in the back. Okay? And you're going to work on this valuation of this stock in teams at the end of the class. Okay? So, this is a pitch book. This is called a deck. Okay? Marketing majors, do you guys do decks? Do they teach you how to do decks in your marketing classes? Nope. Do they teach you how to do pitch books? Nope. Yeah, these are important because you use them in investment banking, you use them in accounting, you use them in marketing, you use them in finance, you use them, and you got to know how to do this. Okay? So it's clear, cover. We know exactly what's going on here. It's a valuation of JP Morgan Chase. We have basically the overview of the presentation. And I would take pictures of this. There's also stuff on the website. Company background, the culture, the company. We've got leadership, top 6 people in the firm that actually do stuff, not the board of directors that does nothing. And most of these people at these big companies all went to Ivy League MBA programs. If you look at Wells Fargo in the Bay Area, a lot of them went to Cal State Hayward and Cal and Stanford and stuff. I'm not saying that Cal State Hayward is an Ivy League, but they pull names locally. Yeah. You got the operating segments of the company, which shows you where the majority of the revenues are coming from. You have the peer group, where the bank basically ranks for assets against the peer group. You got financial ratio analysis that gives you an overall financial condition and position of the firm, which is the first step in fundamental securities analysis. You do technical analysis to be able to find trends and supports and resistance. You're going to use the first valuation model called perpetuity model that assumes that the cash flows will remain flat forever. You use rate and growth that assumes that the cash flows will grow at a constant rate. You use the price earnings multiple or the multiple approach for valuation. You need to follow this because this is what we're doing in class. I'm giving you the whole class in an hour and 20 minutes. You're going to do discounted cash flows analysis, and then you're going to take all of those models weight them under 3 scenarios and come up with the intrinsic value compared to the current stock price. And if your intrinsic value is higher than the current stock price, you're going to buy it. Or you're going to place all of those derivative trades. But I'm going to teach you about how to make money trading derivative contracts. Then you're going to have your references. And then what I'm making my students do now is basically there's a signing page. So basically you have to sign off on it with a date, because under Sarbanes and other requirements now, you have to sign off on all of the research that you do, basically stating that you didn't misappropriate the research and you used all the data available to you in the best of your ability to basically produce the outcome. Okay? Okay. And then the last thing, how much time do I have? Okay, perfect. So break up into teams of 3, and once you form the teams, let me know, and then what I'll do is I'll assign you team numbers, and then the team numbers will correspond with the chapter presentations, and all the PowerPoint presentations are on the course website. So that's all you have to do. You have a week to study the PowerPoint presentation, edit it down, come in, and do a 12-minute presentation on the chapter. Okay? So on Mondays, I will do, that'll be Lecture Monday for Larry. So Lecture Monday on Mondays. And then it's going to be problems and chapter presentations that you're going to make on Wednesdays. Okay? And then we'll just get a little cycle going. Okay? So what I'm going to do now, break up into teams, tell me when you get your team set up so I can give you the assignment of your team number, and your team number is associated with the chapter that you're going to do. So team 1 does chapter 1, team 2 does chapter 2, team 9 is team 1, does chapter 9, because I think there's 8 teams, and then you go through the cycle all over again. And if you look at the syllabus, it basically tells you the chapters, and it tells you the teams that are associated with it. So go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around, and I'm going to give you problems that you're going to present in class next Wednesday.
You have to read.
They're floating around.
I'm going to stick with those guys.
Yeah, we have to do it. Will be easier for the table.
7, float, or you prefer to
Three people in the team. No 4 people. Now, the 4 people in a team, or the 4th person is usually a free rider that basically messes up the psychology of the team because they don't do anything.
How many you got? How many you got?
Tell me when you're ready.
Why don't you stay with this guy?
Tell me when you're ready to team of 3. Okay, when you guys done, it only takes like 2 seconds. No, 3.
Doing the third?
Figure out how to do it. Do you already have a team of 3?
You got 3. I don't think she has a team.
Yes.
He doesn't have a team.
You 3, and what's your 3?
Good man.
So you're team 1.
So what's the about?
Who's team 3? Who's team 3?
No, not me. People here.
How are you going to be in team?
Nice.
Hey, hey, team member right there.
Here you go.
Oh, that's our third?
That's a team member right there.
Okay, who's got a team?
I'm Jake.
So your team 1, team 2, or team 3? Team 3, chapter 3.
Anybody need a team over here?
Team 5, chapter 5.
You're what? You need one more? Alright, we have 2. We need one more. Do you need a team? Anybody else?
Okay, let's do it again.
Anybody single?
Hold on.
Nobody's single.
Hold on, I got people raising their hands that they're in a group, not the group leader. So I got my counsel. So team 1, there. Team 2, bam. Team 3, bam. Team 4, bam. Team 5, right there. Team 6, right there. Team 7, right there. Team 8, right there. Is that it? Team 9. What? You're looking for something?
Yeah, he's looking for 1.
2 teams of 2 can form a team
What?
of
We need
four. So
We need one. We only need one.
I don't know if we need to be together right now.
no teams of two, no teams of four.
That just happened.
Because there's only a certain amount of teams, so you guys are gonna learn how to form your teams. All right? Okay, yeah, how many are in your team? Great, what's your number?
7.
Perfect. Okay, so who doesn't have a team? Who's got a team of 2? Who's got a team of 1? Okay, I said teams of 3. Right, did I say teams of 2?
Yeah.
Or did I say teams of 3? Okay, so find another person.
We're playing chicken.
Okay, who doesn't have a problem?
Who doesn't? That's what I'm saying.
You guys all have a problem? You have a problem? Did I give you a problem? Did I give you a problem? Hey, you guys are messing up the team stuff. You better get it done because the class is going to be over and it's going to be really soon. Let's do it again. Team 1, Team 2, Team 3. Hold on. You guys are messing this up, right? You guys are chaotic. You're messing this stuff up. It's pretty straightforward. So Team 1, Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, Team 4. How many you got in your group? Perfect. Team 5. You got 3?
Yeah.
6? Got it. Team 7? Got it. Team 8. Did you guys have a team?
There's just 2 teams
We got
of
two
2 now.
Just do one team of 4 for right now.
Alright,
your
should be a team of 4. Yeah.
8. Got it?
Alright, great.
Team 1, just chapter 1. Team 2, just chapter 2. Okay. All right. Who just have a problem? Which one does it? Perfect. Perfect. Stick around because I have, these are the problems that you're going to do on the board next Wednesday. I'm giving you the solutions. All right? So it's not rocket science. You basically look at the problem, you basically put the solution up on the board, and you walk us through it. Okay? This is not rocket science. This is not astrophysics. This is not like, calculus or integral, calculus 3. This is finance, which is basically easy stuff. Yeah. Yeah, could you return those to me, please? Yeah. And just put the solution up on the board. And then read the problem. And just put the solution up. You can walk. Not there. I can only that's why you only do it for an hour.
I don't think so.
2 hours. 45 minutes.
10 minutes.
We'll get your number later.
Me too. I'm done by 4:30.
That's my only problem. Today, what's kind of weird is like Monday, Friday.
I have no class Friday.
Friday week.
Seminar.
Is this how Monday was?
You're gonna do
What seminar?
no, just 21.
Books.
No, I don't think you want to go to class on
Friday at 8 o'clock.
totally ruin your social life. I'm not saying that you have a social
Oh, yeah.
Are we doing these right now?
No, you're gonna, next Wednesday. Read the problem and then walk us through the scenario.
That's individually, right?
And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take these, put your name on it, put the date on it, and put these on the back of your homework. So that's the problem. Yeah, it's individual. You come in next Wednesday, you've got the pen, you walk up, you put the solution on, then you walk us through it. Yep. Unless you want to figure it out.
That's why I was trying to like, do you have to figure it out?
No, I'm giving you the solution because I want you to teach us how to do it.
How do I figure this out?
No, I already figured that. You already got it.
I already got one too.
Oh, you did? So everybody got a problem?
I have a question really quick. So my question says it refers to problem 3.5, but I don't have anywhere on here 3.5. It says, yeah, but it says,
I'll give you another one.
No, the real text. I just put everything.
Anybody else have any issues?
Oh my God.
All right, so let's just do a recap. Okay, how much time do I have? What? Recap. We'll go over the syllabus on Monday. More detail. You've already got the pre-test, you've got the exam, you've got the calculator steps, you've got the practice memo, we'll go over that. You've got the example of what you're gonna do at the end of the semester. We've got the movie review worksheets. I'm gonna be lecturing on Mondays, you guys are gonna be doing problems and presentations on Wednesdays. Is that gonna be okay? And then we'll just learn as much as we can. And then talk to me, tell me what you want. If you want internships and jobs, show your resume. Talk to Mary Beth, work with us, and let's go. Let's do it. All right, thank you. If you're interested in grad school, talk to me too.
Oh, why do we bring that form in?
Huh?
The form.
Yeah, bring